The Proud Rose, a heartwarming tale of kindness and inner beauty. Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast, sun-scorched desert, there lived a rose whose petals shimmered like rubies under the golden sunlight. She stood tall and proud among the sandy dunes, her brilliant red blooms a stark contrast to the dry, arid surroundings. The rose was undeniably beautiful, and she knew it. Beside her, however, grew a modest cactus. His spiky, rough exterior made him seem unremarkable, and the rose never missed an opportunity to remind him of it. "Oh, look at you," the rose scoffed one morning as the sun began to rise. "Covered in thorns and so plain. Why do you even bother growing here? You don't have a single flower to show off." The cactus, calm and steady as always, simply smiled. "Good morning to you too, Rose," he replied kindly. "I may not be as beautiful as you, but I do my part here in the desert." The other plants nearby, a small bush, some dry grass, and a scrappy little shrub, looked on uncomfortably. They admired the cactus for his kindness and resilience, but they were too timid to speak up against the rose's hurtful words. Day after day, the rose continued her insults. "Look at me," she boasted one afternoon as a gentle breeze swayed her petals. "My beauty brings joy to the desert. What do you do, cactus? Just stand there looking sharp and prickly?" The cactus didn't reply. Instead, he turned his face toward the sun, absorbing its rays quietly. As time passed, summer arrived in full force, bringing with it relentless heat. The desert, already dry, became even harsher. Streams dried up, and the small waterholes scattered throughout the land disappeared one by one. The plants began to feel the toll of the scorching sun. Even the resilient desert grasses and shrubs began to wilt. The rose, accustomed to drawing water from the shallow sands beneath her, found herself struggling. Her roots could no longer reach deep enough for moisture, and her vibrant petals began to lose their luster. She felt weak, her head drooping under the blazing sun. One morning, as she hung her wilted blossoms low, she noticed something extraordinary. A group of sparrows fluttered toward the cactus, chirping cheerfully. The cactus extended his spiny arms, and tiny droplets of water trickled from his body. The sparrows drank gratefully before flying off to the shade of a nearby tree. The rose was stunned. "Cactus," she called out hesitantly, her voice weak. "How? How are you providing water in this heat?" The cactus turned his gentle gaze toward her. "I store water within my body," he explained. "Even in the driest seasons, I can provide for others." The rose was silent for a long moment, her pride wrestling with her need. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling with humility. "Cactus, I'm sorry for all the unkind things I've said to you. I see now how foolish I was. Could you spare some water for me?" The cactus regarded her kindly, without a trace of bitterness. "Of course," he said simply. "It's important to help one another, especially in times of need." With great care, the cactus released droplets of water from his spines, allowing the parched soil around the rose to drink it in. Slowly, the rose began to perk up. Her petals regained some of their color, and her leaves stopped wilting. The other plants watched in awe as the once proud rose whispered a heartfelt, "Thank you." From that day on, the rose and the cactus grew side by side, not as rivals, but as friends. The rose learned to admire the cactus not for his appearance, but for his inner strength and generosity. She also began to notice that the desert itself was full of beauty, from the golden sands to the bright stars that lit up the night sky. As the seasons changed and the rains finally returned, the rose blossomed more beautifully than ever before. But she no longer boasted about her looks. Instead, she shared her beauty with gratitude and kindness, just as the cactus shared his water. And so, the rose learned a valuable lesson. True beauty lies not in how we look, but in how we treat others.